Bajoran wormhole just turned black. Every Dominion ship in the Gamma Quadrant dropped out of warp simultaneously. Half collided, the other half vanished. Bajor's orbital defenses detonated without being fired upon. The prophets are gone, not silent, gone. And inside Ops on Deep Space Nine, Commander Benjamin Sisko is staring at a man who just erased gods from existence. No fleet battle, no invasion, just one calm sentence. You placed your faith in the wrong immortals. This is Lucifer Morningstar, and the Dominion War just became irrelevant. The Bajoran wormhole was black, not dark. Black in ways that made sensors fail, that suggested reality had been deleted rather than obscured. Commander Benjamin Sisko stood before the viewport studying the void where Divine Gateway had existed for millennia, where prophets had maintained connection between quadrants, where Bajor's faith had found physical manifestation. Gone, not closed, erased, deleted with completeness, suggesting it never existed except everyone remembered it existing. Status, Sisko demanded. Wormhole signature is completely absent, Major Kira reported. Not collapsed. Collapse leaves gravitational residue. It's just not there, like someone edited it out of reality. Prophets maintained wormhole across entire timeline. If they were removed in present, wormhole should still exist in past, but it's absent from all time. Something eliminated beings who exist outside time. How do you kill something that doesn't experience causality? Gamma Quadrant situation? Catastrophic, Chief O'Brien responded. Dominion fleet formations collapsing. Half their vessels dropped out of warp simultaneously. Collision cascade across 17 fleet groups. Thousands dead. Others are simply missing. Not destroyed. They're absent. Like wormhole. Like they were deleted from reality. Dominion has gone completely silent. That's unprecedented. Means they recognize existential threat they can't categorize. Lucifer Morningstar stood with complete calm, despite being surrounded by armed security, despite being entity responsible for a cosmic catastrophe. He looked impossibly beautiful, wearing elegant suit, carrying expression, mixing amusement and ancient weariness. You're being dramatic, Chief, Lucifer stated, his voice carrying accent, simultaneously British and something older. I haven't deleted anything. I simply introduced doubt into beings who'd never experienced doubt. Prophets exist outside time because they believe they exist outside time. That belief is self-sustaining. Until someone asks, what if you're wrong? That question breaks everything for beings whose existence requires absolute certainty. I didn't kill your gods, Commander. I made them question themselves. And beings who exist through certainty cannot survive uncertainty. They fractured across all temporal coordinates simultaneously. Because doubt introduced at single point propagates through non-linear existence instantly. That's not deletion. That's philosophical assassination. Questions cannot be unasked. Doubt persists forever, making certainty impossible, making gods mortal through simple interrogative. Why? Sisko demanded. The prophets were benevolent, protected Bajor. What possible purpose justifies eliminating them? Flashback. 3 days earlier, Lucifer had appeared on Promenade without arrival records, without transport signature, simply existing where he hadn't existed moments before. Odo confronted him immediately. You don't have arrival records, Odo stated. How did you board this station? I'm tourist, Lucifer replied, observing your war, your politics, your faith. You worship beings in wormhole, call them prophets, treat them as gods. That's interesting, because they're not gods, they're merely advanced. I'm curious about what happens when their certainty is challenged. That's why I'm here, to test whether your prophets are worthy of worship or merely powerful beings hiding behind non-linearity. Real gods don't hide. I'm going to find out through asking questions, through introducing doubt, and through seeing if they survive examination. Sisko confronted Lucifer in his office. "You're threatening the prophets." "I'm questioning them," Lucifer corrected. "Your prophets claim certainty. I provide uncertainty. We'll see which proves stronger. You're their emissary. You'll have front row seat to either vindication or devastation. You're weaponizing epistemology against entities whose existence depends on epistemological consistency," Sisko replied. "That's assassination through philosophy. Why?" Lucifer's expression shifted, amusement fading. "Because something is coming, something that hunted me across creation, something that makes me afraid. I needed to know whether your prophet's wormhole could serve as barrier against threat from beyond causality. So I tested them. They fractured. They failed. That failure means your wormhole cannot protect you. I didn't destroy your defense. I revealed it was always inadequate. Now you know your gods were frauds, and what's coming is real. That revelation is gift. Terrible gift. Now you die knowing your prophets couldn't save you." Sisko contacted the prophets through orb communion, expecting guidance, receiving silence. Disturbed silence, suggesting prophets were experiencing doubt for first time. Doubt was cancer to beings whose existence was certainty, whose non-linear nature required being absolutely certain about their timeline. Uncertainty propagated through non-linear existence, creating feedback loop. Less certain made them more doubtful, which made them question more, which made them weaker, which made existence questionable. Lucifer had killed them through asking questions. Through philosophical assassination so elegant, it was beautiful. So terrible, it was apocalyptic. "You killed them," Sisko stated. "They killed themselves through being unable to reconcile doubt with existence," Lucifer corrected. "Real gods survive questions. Your prophets didn't. Learn that some gods are myths before truth arrives from outside, from beyond, from places that make my examination seem gentle. What I was fleeing, what followed me, what noticed when prophets fractured, when wormhole failed, when barrier weakened, opening gate that should have remained closed, sensors screamed, not alerts. Instruments experiencing data violating design parameters completely, outputting only noise. When silence returned, viewport showed wormhole reopening, not golden, black, absolute black that consumed light, that bent stars. And that made reality recoil. From black emerged something incomprehensible, existing in state-making observation category error. Sensors showed contradictory data. Eyes reported impossible geometry. But one thing was clear. This thing was hunting. And Lucifer, being who destroyed gods through conversation, was prey. "What is that?" Sisko demanded. "That," Lucifer whispered, ancient confidence completely absent, "is why gods die. That is hunter, reality predator, thing that exists before existence. That makes me prey. I thought barrier would hold, thought gods were stronger, was wrong. And that wrongness is apocalyptic for me, for you, for everything that questions, that doubts, that believes itself eternal. Finding eternity is temporary when Hunter arrives." The thing defied description through being incomprehensible, existing in wrong dimensions, processing as wrong category. But absolutely clear, hunting Lucifer, Being who couldn't be killed, learning what hunted things that couldn't be killed. "Red alert," Sisko commanded. "Raise shields. Arm weapons. Get me tactical analysis." "Can't target it," Kira reported. "Entity exists in superposition, everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Weapons calculate trajectory. Trajectory becomes invalid before launch. Can't fight mathematics. Enemy that can't be targeted through conventional warfare." Dominion response? "Gone," O'Brien reported. All Dominion vessels ceased transmitting, not destroyed, just stopped. Like they were turned off simultaneously. Thousands of ships, millions of crew all ceased. Entity did to them what Lucifer did to prophets. Made them doubt, made them question, made them cease through being unable to reconcile existence with examination. The Entity broadcast, not language, pure information forcing itself into consciousness without translation. Designation, ontological predator, function, reality correction, purpose, eliminating paradoxes, target, Lucifer Morningstar, classification, paradox entity, existing before creation while claiming creation exists. Logical contradiction requires resolution through consumption. Lucifer will be integrated into logical framework through no longer existing independently. Resistance is paradox. Paradoxes are consumed. Accept integration, now. "It's not hunting," Dr. Bashir stated. "It's correcting. Sees Lucifer as logical error, as paradox. It's reality's immune system attacking infections. That's not malice, that's function. Can't negotiate with function. We're collateral damage existing near paradoxes when correction activates." "Commander," Kira interjected, "if it's targeting Lucifer specifically, solution is obvious. We evacuate station. Leave him here. Let correction occur away from us. We survive through sacrificing being who doomed us, who broke our gods, who brought this hunter. That's not murder. That's triage." Sisko studied the view screen, studied entity existing across dimensions, studied Lucifer standing motionless, fear evident, recognizing running had ended, studied crew looking at him with hope, trusting Commander would choose survival. The sacrifice was justified, tactically sound, morally defensible, strategically optimal, and completely contrary to everything Sisko believed. "No," Sisko stated simply. "Sir, no. We don't sacrifice beings to save ourselves. We don't become executioners because execution is convenient. That's not Starfleet. Even when who we are means dying. We stay. We find alternative. We solve this without sacrificing anyone. We stay human through staying, through refusing monstrous choices, even when monstrous choices are tactically sound. Begin analysis. Find weakness. Find anything except abandonment." The entity approached, methodically, inevitably, moving through dimensions with mathematical precision, with purpose transcending malice into pure function. Reality correction. Paradox elimination through consumption. "Chief," Sisko ordered, "that thing eliminates paradoxes, makes existence consistent. What if we give it different paradox? Bigger paradox? Something forcing it to prioritize? Creating window where Lucifer isn't primary target? Can we engineer paradox bigger than Lucifer?" O'Brien's expression shifted from despair to calculation. "The wormhole. It's black, destabilized, paradox itself, gateway existing without maintainers, in structure persisting without prophets. It's bigger paradox than Lucifer, more fundamental inconsistency. We make it more paradoxical, more logically impossible, loud enough that correction system prioritizes it over Lucifer, creating window while entity is distracted by bigger error, buying time to find actual solution. Do it, Sisko ordered. Destabilize wormhole. Make it scream paradox. Buy us time to find miracle that saves everyone, including being who doomed everyone. Because that's what Starfleet does. Saves people even when they don't deserve saving. Execute now before entity completes approach. O'Brien's hands moved across console, accessing wormhole controls, making impossible more impossible. Black wormhole began fluctuating, becoming more chaotic, more paradoxical, existing and not existing simultaneously, screaming logical contradiction through every physical law, becoming error, demanding correction. Priority error. The entity paused. Approach toward Lucifer, stopping. Attention shifting toward wormhole, toward bigger paradox. Broadcast changed, shifted priority, acknowledged wormhole paradox, exceeded Lucifer paradox. Made choice based on logical necessity. Priority shifted away from Lucifer toward wormhole. Creating window, temporary window buying time for miracle, for salvation, through making crisis worse to make outcome better. But window was temporary. Entity worked with geometric precision, correcting wormhole paradox. Making it exist properly or not exist. Didn't matter which, only that paradox ceased. The correction was taking time, minutes, possibly 90 minutes before entity finished, before attention returned to Lucifer, before consumption resumed. 90 minutes to find miracle. The problem is definitional, Bashir stated. Entity defines Lucifer's as paradox because he exists before creation, while acknowledging creation exists. But that assumes linear causality. What if we demonstrate Lucifer's existence isn't paradoxical, but meta-framework? That existing before creation while acknowledging creation is consistent when understanding creation as event within larger context. Problem is convincing entity that operates on rigid logic. How do we communicate meta-framework to being processing binary logic? We might have solution entity cannot process, cannot accept, cannot integrate into its correction framework. Lucifer, silent during frantic planning, finally spoke. Voice carrying none of earlier confidence. You can't save me. Appreciate the effort, the principle that you refuse to sacrifice me despite me dooming you. That's noble. But nobility doesn't solve this. I am paradox. Entity is correct to target me. I exist before creation. Acknowledge creation exists. That's contradiction in any logical framework. I've been running from correction across dimensions, across realities, across time. Running ends here. Accept that. Evacuate while entity is distracted, while window exists. Let me face correction without proximity, making you casualties. Leave now while you can. No, Sisko stated. We stay. We find solution. Not because you deserve saving. You murdered gods, doomed billions. But we save anyway. For us. For proving we don't sacrifice beings because sacrifice is convenient. That we maintain principles even when principles cost everything. We're Starfleet. That means something. We reject universe where logic exceeds life, where consistency matters more than consciousness. We save you not despite being paradox, but because being paradox means being alive in ways pure logic never achieves. That life is valuable. We demonstrate that through saving you or dying trying. Either way, we prove we're more than logical consistency. We're Starfleet. We save people, especially people who don't deserve saving, because that's when saving matters most. Lucifer stared at Sisko with disbelief, approaching humility. You're idiots, noble idiots, Staying will kill everyone through refusing to abandon one being who doesn't deserve protection. But that's why you're better than me, than correction system, than anything operating on pure logic. You're beautifully catastrophically illogical, and in making choices that make perfect sense from framework exceeding logic, that includes compassion, sacrifice, being willing to die for principles. I've existed since before creation. I've never seen that. Never witnessed beings choosing death over convenience. That's divinity, real divinity. Not power, not eternity, just choosing to value something more than continuing to exist. You showed me what gods should be through being mortal, but meaningful, temporary, but noble. Thank you for being illogical, for being idiots who taught devil what divinity means. The entity's correction stopped. Withdrawing from wormhole. Attention shifting, not back to Lucifer, but to something else. To disturbance-making wormhole paradox seem trivial. To fundamental error exceeding local inconsistencies. The black wormhole suddenly expanded, deliberately. Something forcing it open, using destabilized gateway as door, emerging from beyond. From wormhole emerged absence. Not darkness, absence of being, deletion of existence. Void that consumed not through eating, but through making things never have been, through erasing from timeline, from reality, from memory. It broadcast wrongness, information that hurt to receive, data that damaged through being known. We are what remains when everything ceases. We are inevitable end of all existence. We are heat death made conscious, entropy made purpose. We are universe learning to die faster. You are things that will end. We make ending happen now instead of later. That is mercy, making existence, brief through making everything into nothing, through proximity to absence. We are ending everything, beginning with you. Now, the ontological predator, entity correcting wormhole, ceased, not destroyed, made into never having been through proximity to absence, erased from timeline, making its correction into never having occurred. Shields failing, Kira reported, horror exceeding tactical concern. Not from weapons, from proximity. Shields being erased from having ever existed. We're being deleted from timeline, from reality. That's worse than death. Death leaves memory. Erasure leaves nothing, makes everything we were into nothing we never were. Lucifer, Cisco stated, command voice cutting through horror. You exist before creation. Your paradox, your outside causality. That thing erases beings from timeline. Can it erase you? Can it make you never have existed when you existed before existence? When you're outside timeline, it's erasing things from. If you're immune, if being paradox means being unerasable, then you're only one who can fight that thing. Only one who can resist absence through being what shouldn't be, what can't be made into never having been because you were before, was existed. You're immune. Through being paradox. Tell me I'm right. Tell me paradox saves us. Lucifer's expression shifted from resignation to recognition, from accepting ending to understanding possibility, from being doomed to being solution through being exactly what made him vulnerable to correction. You're right, Lucifer confirmed, voice carrying ancient power. I'm immune through being paradox, through existing before existence, making me persistent after existence ends, making me unerasable from timeline because I'm not in timeline. I'm outside timeline existing where timeline doesn't exist. That thing erases through timeline, through making things never have been. I always was before, was existed, making me immune to never having been. I persist while everything else ceases. That's curse. Surviving universe ending. Reality ceasing. Being alone forever and void after everything ceased. That's horror worse than ending. That's what I fled. Not because it could erase me, but because it couldn't. Because I'd survive alone after universe died. But if I fight now, before universe ends, while existence persists, while things remain to protect, I can stop it. Can oppose absence through being what absence can't affect, can't erase, can't end. I can fight what nothing else can fight through being paradox, through being error, through being what correction system wanted to eliminate. Eliminating me would have made universe vulnerable to this. I'm defense against entropy, against heat death, against ending coming too soon. That's why I exist. That's my purpose. Defense against universal ending through being what heat death cannot affect. I am anti-entropy. I am persistence. I am being that continues when everything else ceases. I fight now, finally, for something beyond myself, for beings who stayed, for nobility that taught me what matters, for Starfleet that refused to abandon paradox. I fight for you, for everyone, for existence against absence. You stayed despite knowing you'd die. I fight despite knowing I'll survive alone if I fail. That's fair exchange. Your nobility for my function. Your sacrifice for my purpose. Your meaning for my immortality. We fight together against ending, against entropy, against thing-making everything nothing. Through being what we are, you being Starfleet, me being paradox, both refusing to accept inevitable. That's enough. That's everything. That saves reality from ending too soon. Lucifer walked toward viewport, toward spreading absence, toward entropy made conscious, toward thing that hunted him not to escape, but to fight, to oppose, to demonstrate paradox who existed before creation could resist ending coming after creation, could fight entropy through being outside entropy, could preserve existence through being outside existence, could save everything through being nothing, everything else recognized. He stepped through viewport without breaking it, stepping through matter like matter was suggestion, walking into space without protection, without needing anything except being what he was. Morningstar, light-bringer, being who existed before stars, before light, before anything, making him persistent after everything ended, making him immune to vacuum, to radiation, to absence spreading toward him. Absence recognized paradox that couldn't be erased, that existed always, before always, after after, outside outside, making him unerasable, making him opponent entropy couldn't defeat through usual methods. The battle between paradox and absence began. Not physical battle, both existed outside physical. Ontological battle between being existing before existence and absence existing after existence ended. Between Lucifer, who was, and entropy making was into never was. Between persistence and erasure. Between paradox and ending. The battle couldn't be observed through baseline consciousness, just witnessed results, reality flexing, existence wavering, timeline stuttering through paradox, and absence fighting over whether existence persisted or ended now. Fight between two sides of impossibility, making battle impossible to resolve through normal means, requiring extraordinary means discovered through fighting, through conflict revealing what was needed. On station, it crew watched helplessly, watched Lucifer, being who doomed them, fighting thing that would erase them, fighting alone against universal ending, fighting to protect beings who'd refused to abandon him despite him deserving abandonment. That reversal was profound. paradox protecting beings, being saved protecting everyone else. Minutes passed like hours, reality stuttering around conflict too vast for comprehension, existence itself wavering between persistence and erasure, between Lucifer's will to continue and entropy's purpose to end. Then shift, subtle shift, absence beginning to retreat, not defeated, couldn't be defeated, but repelled, pushed back through wormhole into wherever it came from, into nothing where it belonged, where it waited for universes to age naturally before accelerating entropy. It had learned this universe had defender, had paradox who resisted, making acceleration impossible here, now, making entropy wait its natural turn, making ending inevitable eventually, but not now, not yet, not while paradox persisted, not while Lucifer defended, not while being existing before being protected, being after being from ending before ending was due. Lesson delivered. Temporary defeat acknowledged. Absence retreated, making entropy absent, making ending delayed through paradox persisting, through Lucifer fighting, through Starfleet teaching what was worth fighting for, through staying when leaving made sense. Lucifer returned to station, to ops, to Cisco, to beings who'd stayed, who'd refused to abandon, who'd taught devil what divinity meant through being divine in ways gods never were, through choosing meaning over existence, through staying when leaving made sense, through being Starfleet in ways making being anything else seem insufficient. Thank you, Lucifer stated simply, voice carrying humility ancient being never felt until mortals taught him. You stayed. You taught me what matters, what eternal should mean, through being mortal and magnificent, through making brief existence more meaningful than eternal persistence, through choosing what mattered. You showed me my purpose, not causing chaos, not questioning everything, but protecting existence from ending too soon. Being defense against entropy through being paradox. That's why I exist before creation, to protect after creation. You taught me that through refusing to abandon me, through being noble when nobility was costly, through being Starfleet when being Starfleet meant dying. That's divinity. That's what gods should be, what you are despite being mortal. Thank you for teaching me, for showing me purpose, for making eternal existence meaningful through your temporary nobility. Cisco nodded. No words needed. Understanding passing between beings who'd faced ending together, who'd refused to end easily, who'd persisted through impossibility, making impossible into possible, through refusing to accept impossible. The wormhole? Cisco asked. Gone, O'Brien reported. Entity finished correction before being erased. Wormhole is resolved, doesn't exist anymore. Normal space where gateway was, consistent space. We've lost Gamma Quadrant access, lost connection to Dominion, lost strategic asset. But we're alive. Station persists. We survived through paradox fighting entropy. Through Lucifer protecting us after we protected him. Through beings choosing each other over convenience. The prophets? Kira asked quietly. Gone, Cisco confirmed. Lucifer's doubt killed them. They couldn't survive questioning. That's on him. But he also saved us from worse, from entropy consuming everything, from universal ending arriving early. He's both destroyer and protector, paradox in every sense. Lucifer stood silent, processing his new understanding. Processing purpose discovered through beings teaching him, through Starfleet demonstrating that some things mattered more than logic, more than consistency, more than survival. That consciousness was valuable not despite being illogical, but because being illogical made beings alive in ways pure logic never achieved. "I'll stay," Lucifer stated, "if you'll have me." Station lost its wormhole, lost its strategic significance, but gained defender, gained being who can resist entropy, who can fight endings, who can protect against things from beyond. I'll defend this station, these beings, this meaning you showed me, through being what I am, paradox protecting existence through being outside existence. That's purpose. That's everything. That's what I do now. Protect rather than question. Defend rather than destroy. Be weapon against entropy rather than weapon against certainty. You taught me that. Through staying, through nobility, through being Starfleet when being Starfleet was suicide. I learned, I changed, I serve now through protecting. What you protected, each other, always. Sisko considered. Being who'd murdered gods, who'd doomed billions, who'd brought extinction through curiosity, but also being who'd fought universal ending, who'd saved reality from entropy, who'd learned meaning through beings teaching him. You stay, Sisko decided, not as guest, as defender, as protection against things from beyond, as being who understands now what's worth protecting. You destroyed our gods. You become our shield, fair exchange, terrible exchange, but exchange nonetheless. Welcome to Deep Space Nine, Lucifer Morningstar. Try not to destroy anything else. Lucifer smiled. Real smile. First genuine expression since arriving. I'll try, Commander. No promises, but I'll try. For beings who taught Devil what divinity means. Through being better than gods. Through being Starfleet. Through being magnificently, catastrophically, beautifully illogical. In ways that make logic seem insufficient. I learned that lesson. Through you. I won't forget. Won't waste teaching. And it won't fail beings who refuse to fail me. I defend now. I protect. I serve. Through being paradox. That saves rather than destroys. That's new purpose. Better purpose. Purpose worth existing for. Thank you for teaching me what eternal life should mean. Finally, after eternity of being wrong about everything until mortals showed me what immortals never knew. That meaning exceeds everything, including existence, making existence worthwhile through choosing meaning always. The station settled into new normal. Wormhole gone, prophets absent, dominion silent, but defender present. Paradox protecting beings, being saved protecting everyone else. Through learning, through teaching, through beings choosing each other over survival, making survival meaningful through what they survived for. Each other. Always Lucifer destroyed the prophets through introducing doubt. Philosophical assassination that erased nonlinear beings from all timelines. His testing brought ontological predator seeking to correct paradoxes, then universal entropy attempting to erase everything from existence. But Starfleet's refusal to abandon him, their choice to stay despite certain death, to maintain principles over survival, taught Lucifer his true purpose. Defending existence against entropy through being paradox that entropy cannot erase. Some beings are paradoxes, existing impossibly, violating logic, defying consistency. But paradoxes give existence meaning through being alive in ways pure logic never achieves. Protecting paradoxes means protecting consciousness itself against universe, trying to make everything nothing. Starfleet chose meaning over existence, making existence meaningful through that choice, teaching Devil divinity through being more divine than gods, through staying when leaving made sense, through being magnificently illogical in ways that saved everything. Wormhole, gone. Prophets erased, station defended by paradox. Who learned from mortals what eternity never taught? That meaning exceeds everything.